All right. So today, it's called a 1 minute play. It's a guide to approaching others and how to interact with other folks that might work on your team or that you're a manager for, or just in general, peer to peer. So the purpose of the one meeting play is a framework to provide a collaborative approach to leading, managing, and hopefully motivating people. The goal of this session is to see the differences of taking a traditional top-down approach versus leading side by side. Top-down management can, stifle long-term speed and innovation, where collaborative management unlocks long-term speed, innovation. People want to stay at your company, stay on the team, etc. So it's a play, and Nadia is going to be helping me with this. So, excuse me. So this is going to be from a top-down manager to their direct report about an assignment that's being worked on. Nadia, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Jordan, who's the manager. Nadia is Jean, the employee. So what's that you've got there?
It's just that thing for, I'm not finished yet.
What do you mean it's not finished?
I mean, not finished, incomplete, not ready.
Ready for what?
Well,
Ready for feedback?
yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling kind of weird about showing it right now.
To me?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Just come on, just show me.
No, not yet.
No, show me.
No, not yet.
Show me.
Not yet. Oh, okay, fine there. What do you think? I mean, don't leave me hanging.
No. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking.
Thinking?
Yeah, thinking
Thinking what?
that it looks a little
Well, yeah.
unfinished.
Yeah.
So that's the one I play. And since this is a fishbowl, would love to hear from folks. So I have some questions. How do you feel about this interaction? So thoughts. How did the manager's approach make you feel? What, if anything, worked with this approach? What, if anything, didn't work with this approach? And what, if anything, would you do differently? And are there any lasting impressions that you have? So if we want to do like a hands up or in chat, whatever works best for everybody, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Carlos, you're up.
Yeah, so I think that first the approach was not okay. There was too much incisive, if I can say that. So the manager was very, very pushy to see the work, and even though the Nadia told that it was not finished, she showed it anyway just by pure pressure. And even though the feedback that he gave was the same impression that she said it was not finished.
Mm-hmm.
But I think on the communication on both ends would be setting some expectations of what should have been finished. So for review, for example, I finished that part, you can review that, only that, don't and receive feedback from that. But initially that was thing. If I would do something different, try to set some expectations, some due dates with when we'll be ready the next part and so on. I think that could be a good start.
Cool. Thank you. Let's see. In the chat, we have, let's see, Gustavo. Absolute cinema. I like that. I wouldn't think how to put that, but I like that. Anna, manager was insisting too much, knowing she was not ready to present something. Feedback was not constructive as well. Gabriel, it sounded like micromanagement. Christian, embarrassing. Melissa, the manager didn't believe her and she wasn't ready. And Jose, ask if she needs some help. All great feedback. So thank you for that. Moving on, we're going to take a different approach, which is called a side-by-side management, which is taking it from a debate, which you can kind of call what we just went through, a debate, to actual dialogue and conversation. And feel free to follow along. Hey, Jean, I just wanted to check in. What have you been working on?
Just that thing for, well, it's not quite finished yet.
Oh, okay. Do you have any questions that can get you unblocked? What is it that you haven't finished?
It's just not incomplete. It's just not complete yet, not ready.
Do you mean ready to be reviewed?
Yeah, well,
Would it help if I provided some feedback on what's complete thus far? Be any help?
yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling kind of weird about showing it right now.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you not wanting to show anyone in general?
Yeah, sorry, but yeah.
I understand. I'd be more than happy to, I'd be more than happy to sit next to you and review your progress.
Not yet.
All right. Just know my door is open and I'll gladly help however I can.
Yeah, okay. I guess I can show you, but I'm embarrassed at where I am at. So, what do you think?
One moment. Let me take a look at this so I can understand where you might be hung up.
The long silencing concerning, is that bad?
No. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking.
That looks unfinished, right?
Sure, but I can. Sure, I can see that, but I was thinking how I could work with you to help you move forward.
Are you sure? I don't want to take up your time out of your day. I know how busy you are.
Not an issue. Let me carve out some time to work on this with you.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry that isn't complete.
That's okay. We all have those days where things just don't click.
I understand and thank you in advance for offering help.
All right. So we'll do the same exercise. How do you feel about this interaction? How did the manager's approach make you feel? What, if anything, improved during the second approach? And any lasting impressions? You can do hands up or put it in the chat and I'm happy to read.
I would say better, but not perfect yet. I still think that there's too much going forward. For example, they are just pointing out the need from each other, but they are not talking about it. So, for example, try to understand a little bit of empathy of that situation because she was not ready to show yet, and she demonstrated some satisfaction, but she was not feeling too much harassed at that moment, like on the first time. But still, I think it was a lack of empathy on the manager on that part. Although he offered for help and he made available to help her to get through the test. So that's a positive thing. But I still think there's a little bit of lack of empathy on the first approach,
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we'll get to that in a second, but empathy, absolutely. In the chat, Jose, I think this time it was more approachable. Okay. I'd like to think so as well. Anybody else have any thoughts or comments they'd like to share? So I would say between the two interactions, there were some successful and unsuccessful communication techniques that were used. Successful, there was a little bit more active listening. The manager took the time to understand the other person's points and acknowledge them. The manager adjusted their time, their pace, pauses to avoid sounding monotonous or upset, seemed more engaged, more present, and used clearer language and explanation. And to what Carlos said, had probably needed some empathy there, but was trying to get there. Some of the unsuccessful communication techniques from the first one was, being unclear and wordy. Imagine this in a cube to, manage your standing and, the employee being in the cube, body language, interrupting, being defensive, things like that. So those are some of the, differences between the first, interaction and the second. All right. So when it comes to 1-minute meetings, these can be done by anybody, manager to direct report, peer to peer. See what good behaviors and interactions look like. By having a side-by-side approach, you can help people reach their full potential. You can transform that conflict into collaboration. The best 1-minute meeting is the one where you invest in your people. You can become a good 1-minute manager not because you think like one or spoke like one, but because you behave like one. And that you have set goals. You're specific with your praising, so tell the person what they did right, how you feel about it, encourage the person. We need to remind ourselves that anything worth doing does not have to be done perfectly at first. The same can be said about being a 1-minute manager, as there are barriers to effective listening, interrupting, strong emotions. Emotions are high, can be difficult to remain open-minded, and listening to someone else's perspective. Low concentration in the sense of a listener isn't paying attention when effective communication is not happening, so it's diminished. These 1-minute interactions, be it with our manager or our peers, are intended to remind each of us every now and then to look into the faces of the people we encounter and to really realize that they are our most important resources. And as one of the manager's key responsibilities, are attracting, developing, and keeping talent. So that's what we wanted to. I wanted to share it about the 1-minute play. There's a variety of different ways to do this. There's like a 144-page book that I've read about all different kinds of conflict resolution and different approaches, how things are worded, kind of different personalities, things like that. But I'd love to hear if anybody has any questions that I could answer, or if any other comments.
People are shy today.
Yeah, hey,
I
Jose.
I just wanted to congratulate you on the acting. It was perfect.
Nadia and I practiced this literally an hour and a half ago, and I'm like, "You sound perfect." So I told her, I'm like, each time sound timid and like afraid and just like uncomfortable, because that's how she felt as the employee. But hopefully, the difference in approach from the first one to the second one, might not have made her feel comfortable, but was a little bit of a better approach.
Thanks.
Jose.
Yeah, thank you, Drew, for the presentation. My question is about the side-by-side approach that you mentioned. Because we are working remotely, sometimes it's not possible. And I don't know, this caught my attention because that's what I miss most, the more today, about this side-by-side communication and sometimes I have to send some questions to my manager, and he's not ready to respond at
Mhm.
that exact moment. Maybe she will answer some hours later, or
Yeah.
the other day. I don't know. Sometimes it works kind of like that.
Mhm.
I don't know if there is any.
Yeah.
I
I
keep
think,
asking myself if there's anything we could do to improve
yeah.
this communication.
I think we've all kind of fallen in love with, remote working, and I have my office with all my X-Men behind me and things like that. But I know some of our clients, like Gap, for example, are wanting people to come back in at least once or twice a week, but their manager may not be there as well. So I'm also a technical delivery manager, and so I have time set up, book time with me, set up to for any of my direct reports to ask me questions whenever they want. If I'm not next to my laptop, I have my phone on me, which has obviously Google Chat. And if it's whatever time of day, if it's after the normal client working hours or before, I will always respond. But I think as a manager, being cognizant of there may be questions, especially since it's remote, that folks have, that you need to be on top of things like, have I received any messages? Have I received any requests, emails, things like that? We all get busy, in our day to day, but do carve out that time to, check every so often, hey, has anybody pinged me for anything or whatnot? I'm also a very strong proponent of, one-on-ones. I let my managees say, do you want to meet once a week, every 2 weeks, once a month? And of course, if it's like a once a month, if someone says they want to meet, earlier, I'm just like, by absolutely come to me. So it's absolutely having that open-mindedness of being ready to be collaborative with your employees.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
It's like prioritizing your. I don't know. Maybe you have a list of messages, and maybe you prioritize which ones you have to respond
Yeah,
faster than the others. Maybe.
yeah. So two things in that. So when I was at PG&E and like going back, we used Microsoft Teams, and uh, 6 of my 7 managees worked at PG&E. So I actually pinned them to my team, so they were always on top. The same thing with Google Chat. So whether it's Fabio, my manager, or any of my managees, or some of the people that I know I'm going to speak to on a regular basis, I pin them to my Google Chat, so they're always on top, and I will generally see those, probably faster, and I'm able to respond a little more quickly.
Got it. Great suggestion. Thank you.